Nice sunrise over here on the left. We're southbound heading to South Texas. We're gonna do some hog hunting. It's gonna be a good time.
So are you saying we're gonna be in hog heaven?
Hog heaven is right. We're gonna shoot some hog. We're gonna shoot some javelina. We're gonna shoot some bobcats and coyotes. We're gonna catch some fish. We're gonna catch some catfish. And we're gonna net deer from a helicopter and wrestle them. And we're gonna net deer from a helicopter and wrestle them. Be a good time. 20 hours from now on the road, we'll be there. Can't wait.
So Dan, where are we?
We are somewhere north of Laredo, Texas, South Texas.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
The other ranch that I work for across the road to Callahan, down on the south end, we need quite a few deer down there because the population's real low. So instead of Sidney killing these deer on his place where he's got too many deer, it'd be makes a lot more sense just to move them off and move them down there where we need the deer. Drugging is fine, but there again, it's a very slow process. You can't shoot, obviously you can't shoot a dart gun much over, I think what, 70, 80 yards is about the max on a gun. But, and the drugs are better nowadays. In the old days, you killed about half the animals that you drugged. But with newer medicine and everything, it's gotten down to where, as far as, you know, actually killing a deer, I think you still will kill one every now and then with drugs. And you're going to lose a few when you net deer. But basically, it's less than, I'd say, 5%. You know, you might kill 3 or 4 for every 100 deer that you catch.
When I first started into this business and everything, into flying, one of the companies I worked for, and then I went on to another one, and they were more into capturing and everything. And when I started with them, it was kind of new, kind of different. I really took to it and wanted to really do it, and I got with the chief pilot, and he took me along on some of their capture work. And it was kind of watch, observe, and then after a little while I got to start flying and doing some capture work. And a lot of people don't know this, but it's kind of crazy. The way we used to do it back, and this was the late 70s, early 80s, we used to take and run a deer off in a tank into a tank reservoir. Some people call them a reservoir or lake. We used to run them off in the lake, and once we got them in the lake, well, they had to swim. Well, the cowboys would be waiting in the brush line or behind the tank dam. And we got them off in the water. Well, they had no place to go but swim across the tank. Well, we got to the other side of the tank, cowboys were waiting on them. So they would rope the animal. And they rope the animal and drag them out and get on them and tie them down and take them, put them in a trailer. And that's kind of how they were doing it right at first. And then it quickly evolved to the what they call a drive net. And it's a 500-foot long net that's laid out on the ground, and it's staked on either end, pulled tight, staked on either end. In the middle is propped up with 2 poles like that. And then a piece of wire hanging down, you pull the net up, wrap that wire around it. And it's all the way down the net like that. They had those poles. Then the people would hide in the brush on either side of the net in the brush, get down low. You take and run a deer into the net, and it hit the net, and the net fall on, and people jump on the deer. We saw quite a few wrecks in that little deal. Deer would kick and thrash and everything. People come out of there with half their shirts torn off, or jackets ripped and pants ripped and stuff like that. It really got comical. It got comical from up there. Down there it wasn't. But then they come up with the net gun, what we're using now. And it's more versatile. You can move around a lot more, and you've got All you do is drive deer to Sendeta, a road, dirt road, and then shoot the net on them, and they just roll up in the net. And we've got four-wheelers, boys on four-wheelers, and they drive up, get them, tie them down, and then they take them to the truck and get them out of the nets and put them in the trailers. And so it's kind of evolved in different deals like that, and this is about the best way of doing it now is with the net gun.
My name's Corey Montgomery, and it's just a 308 rifle, and we kind of made the barrels for it and this back handle to fit, to do what we do. That's basically it. Well, the net, you strap it down right there. It's got four corners on the weight. The four corners on the net with the weights. Put the weights in. They slide down, and we have the barrels dented right there on all four, and then that's what the weights stick on. Or when you turn it upside down, it doesn't fall out. This is young Will right here. Oh shit! That's how you load it. Will's going to show you how to shoot it.
Net gun since 2003.
Let me get out of here. Yeah, baby.
Time.
They started using helicopters to work cattle and stuff, and I was working for my dad back then. I was cowboying and working on the ranch and everything, and we hadn't really started using helicopter. We'd heard a little bit about them, and when we started to use them for the first time, I got a chance to ride in it, and it just, from there, it just kind of intrigued me. The man that was doing the work for us, his helicopter service started doing the work on our ranch and stuff, gathering our cattle. Well, he was looking for cowboys to train up his pilots, and his whole deal was he could find pilots were, like he told me, pilots are dime a dozen. I can find them out of the military just anywhere, but he said I can't find cowboy pilots. So I jumped at the chance to go on, and he said he'd train me up and help me if I'd work for him, you know, and everything, and I jumped at the chance and haven't looked back since. It was easier to take a cowboy and train him up as a pilot, because a cowboy's worked horseback, he's gathered cattle, push them, and you know, in herds and stuff like that. You're taught to watch the cattle and know what they're going to do and everything, and watch the whole herd, and you kind of anticipate what's taking place and what's happening. Take somebody out of the city that knows how to fly a helicopter and try to turn them into a cowboy in air, and it just, the lag time there is just a bunch. It just, a lot of them really pick it up real good, but you can still see the difference between them and a cowboy that was raised on the ranch and around cattle. A lot of people can't tell you which end of the cow gets up first, you know. But I mean, if you watch animals and the way they're running and everything, you can, and going through the brush, and even cattle, deer, or any kind of game like that, you watch their heads, and their heads will tell you where they're going to go, and you can see how they're going to turn, where they're going to go, and you can almost make them go where you want to, you know, most of the time. Sometimes they get a mind of their own, and you know, and you can tell when they're going to cross a road, and when they do, you're reacting to them, and you're right with them all the time, going right along. I guess when I first started, I probably had about 1,500 hours, and when I first started doing some capture work with one of the other companies I used to work for, and it just, it started out slowly, and I started being more cautious and everything, and I'm still cautious, but I push it a little harder than probably most do. It's just like, sort of like you getting in an automobile. When you first started driving an automobile, you were probably the most awkward person in the world. You know, trying to shift gears, or, you know, in the old pickups where you had to clutch, shift gears and stuff like that, you know, you grind a few gears and all this and that, and you had to think, well, I need to do this, or I need to do that, and all the time thinking. But as you came along, it became second nature. Well, clutch, you know, shift, clutch, shift, gas, and you know, it just became second nature. Same way in a helicopter or an airplane or anything like that, is after a while it becomes second nature, and after you do it a while, it really becomes second nature. When, kind of like when you climb in a helicopter, it's just like putting on this jacket. You're just kind of wrapping it around you, and you're in there. You know what you got to do, and it's all just comes together. You never think about it. You're watching for trees, top of trees. You're watching for everything, movement. Peripheral vision is just way out there, looking and watching, and you're just kind of really paying attention. I like the cattle work and the game captures, because they're more challenging. I like to, you know, get into a set of cattle that, you know, if they're a little difficult, trying to outwit them, trying to think of what they're going to do, trying to beat them, and think ahead, and you know, trying to, you know, think of what they're going to do, and watching them for the blow-ups, and trying to shut them down before they blow up too bad, and just, you know, it's a challenge to me. Just like the game capture, it's it's you and the animal, and you're trying to you know, figure out what she or he's going to do, and you know, react to that, and you know, I guess beat them at it. Call our season starts in October when we start capturing, when the Parks and Wildlife start letting out the permits and stuff like this. And 1st of October till the end of March. March 31st is our last day, and that's I believe that's a 6-month period that we have, and we normally somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 head, depending on how hard we run and how many days we can get scheduled up and stuff like that. We don't do tall trees anymore. We were right on the last day. They were wanting to catch like 35, 40 head of deer, and this was on their military base up there, which is kind of shut down, and so we had to be real careful where we caught the deer. And the professor that we were working with, they come up and said, you know, well, let's finish it up, you know, just use the nets you got and we'll be done. We had like 3 nets left. We caught 2 deer. On our last deer, we're going across this field, and we jumped this deer, and I didn't think it was that far to the tree line, and neither did my gunner. And when we got to her and shot the net, when I commenced to try to pull up or, you know, bank and get out of there, I looked up and there was a tree right in front of me. We ended up going kind of through the tree limbs and everything, and took out some pretty good tree limbs and broke the bubble on the helicopter. I didn't have time to look over at my gunner, and when we finally got out of the tree and everything, I mean, we were still moving the whole time, banking hard enough. We had a pretty good bank on it, and when I got it straightened back up and everything, I looked over at him, and he turned just white as a ghost. Still had the gun in his hands and everything, but he shot the deer. He caught the deer, and you know, I let him out, went over, sit down, shut down, check my blades and everything. Everything's fine. I didn't, you know, tear up anything except the bubble, and knocked out the bubble right in front of us a little bit, just cracked and broke a piece out of it. And had a few tree limbs on the skids, but that's about it. Usually, I always get the question when I get through with these captures or during the captures, or some of them even asking before the captures, is how, you know, did you ever fly in the military? And I tell them, no, all mine is civilian time. I've never been in the military. Was never drafted in the military, anything like that. All my time was civilian, and I started in 1978. Is when I got my license, January '78, and it's I believe it's what, 29 years now. 29 years of flying, and over last time I got my logbook is probably about a month behind. It's probably a little over 24,000 hours of flying in 29 years. And you know, I get a lot of people ask those questions and stuff like that, and they just can't believe. They think I'm military, and a lot of military pilots see what we do and they're like, you know, y'all crazy. The only other thing I can say is, you know, as far as my crew and everything, I've got some of the best gunners. I think some of the best gunners around. And you know, you can have a good pilot, and you know, you can have a good pilot behind the stick and everything, but it takes a gunner knowing what to do and how to position it. And some of the videos show it, you know, how they adjust and everything, because you can put that deer across us in there and that road, and as you lean over, that deer is still going to veer and move a little bit. And those gunners, they're sitting right there and they're adjusting and moving. And I think I've got some of the best gunners around.
Well, we're almost home. We've been down in South Texas and caught a big catfish on your fly rod. Shot a javelina. We got a couple of hogs. But can you believe that deer capture? Now that's some helicopter flying. I am amazed. That was something else. I can't wait till next year. This has been an adventure.